What does it mean to be a cannibal in the 21st century? No, it is not about eating flesh, as some of you might think. It is about devouring culture, influences, breaking the foreign down into small pieces to create something that's new and uniquely yours. That's what being a cannibal in the 21st century is all about. But what does it mean to become something? You see, in philosophy there is a concept called becoming, or devenir in French, or devir in Portuguese. Becoming or devenir, it's not about being something fixed like I am this or that. Instead, it is about transformation, about always being in motion, always changing. It's an idea that stands in opposition to being. Being is static, fixed, like saying I am this and now and that's all I ever be. Becoming, on the other hand, it's about flow, it's about constant transformation, adapting and reshaping who we are. Think about your identity, for example. We often act like this is a solid thing, but it's not. Let me give you an example. Imagine that you are a police officer in LA. During your shift, your identity is tied to your role. You are a professional, focused on acting in ways that fit the job. But when you get home, you are no longer the police officer. You are just Bob. You love playing Elden Ring, reading Tom Clancy novels, and relaxing on your own. And when you visit your grandmother, you act differently again. You are respectful, caring, and maybe a little bit more reserved because you want to show your grandmother a different side of yourself. Not that crazy gamer that only your friends know. That's becoming. Our identities, they are not fixed. We are like a river, constantly adapting, shifting, and changing over time. Even our ideas and beliefs evolve. Raul Seixas captured this perfectly in his song Metamorfose Ambulante. The lyrics say, I'd rather be this walking metamorphosis than to have that old opinion about everything. It is one of the anthems of Brazilian rock for a reason. Deleuze and Guattari are two postmodern thinkers who wrote a lot about becoming. One of their coolest concepts is the concept of becoming animal. With becoming animal, they talk about how stepping into a perspective of another being like an animal dissolves the boundaries between what we think of as human and non-human. It is not literal, of course. It's about embracing fluidity, stepping out of rigid identities and experiencing life in new ways. After reading about becoming animal, this got me thinking, what if we take this idea and apply it to culture? That's how I came up with the concept of becoming cannibal. In Brazil, we already have something like that, very similar. We call it cultural anthropophagy. It is a radical cultural practice introduced by Oswald Andrade in the 1920s, and he says that I am only interested in what isn't mine. And what did he mean by that? He meant that instead of copying the colonizer and Europeans, instead of mimicking Europe, we should reshape the foreign to fit our rhythm, our accents, and our worldview. Oswald and other artists in the modernist movement in the 1920s inspired themselves on some indigenous populations of Brazil who used to practice cannibalism. Just to be clear, it was some of the indigenous populations here in Brazil that used to do those practices, not all of them, okay? But even that cannibalistic process of those tribes, it was not just a barbaric thing, as some of you might think. It was something to be done only to a person that you admire. The idea is that by eating the flesh of a real powerful warrior, for example, you and your peers would be able to absorb some of that power. So this act of cannibalism isn't about eating anyone and everyone you see in front of you. To be eaten by us cannibals, you need to be worth eating, you know? And today, this idea has evolved. I call it meta-anthropophagy. I use the term meta instead of post because I like anthropophagy. And I think meta is like metaphysics or meta language, you know? It's about turning the concept on its own. In the case of anthropophagy, it's applying anthropophagy to language itself. So this process isn't just about absorbing culture anymore. It's about doing it in our own terms and reshaping the language landscapes in the world. Think of it as a playful, purposeful digestion of what's global, where we take what's out there and return it transformed. And here's the thing, I say that I created these concepts and that I'm created Becoming-Cannibal, created meta-anthropophagy, because I myself, as an artist, I think that the act of creating something new, it's an act of discovery. Ideas, they are out there for us to grab, you know? I talked about all those things, including the act of creation and the act of cannibalization and meta-anthropophagy in more detail in my blog and in my text, especially in a text called Becoming-Cannibal. In that text, I bring a lot of examples of artists in Brazil and many other artists around the world who are meta-anthropophagic and are being part of this meta-anthropophagic process, even if they don't know about it yet. Artists like Anita, BTS, Rosalia, Bad Bunny, Bjork, and many others are already taking place in this dance. But here's the twist, okay? Although meta-anthropophagy it's about accelerating linguistic transformation, it isn't about accelerating the act of consumption, the act of consuming everything around us, as some would say. That idea of accelerationism, especially as proposed by thinkers like Nick Land, wants us to spin the wheel of history until it breaks. Instead, Becoming-Cannibal, as I said, is about moving at the right pace, like samba, like bossa nova. Inspired by indigenous traditions, it is about treading lightly on nature. It's about savoring what matters and resisting the harmonization of thought and culture. So, if these ideas resonated with you, then please visit my blog, thebrazilianmat.wordpress.com. As always, this video was inspired by a text I wrote there, and all my videos here will be inspired by text I wrote there, and I highly recommend that you go and give it a read. As always, I try not to take much more than 5 minutes of your time. Today it's been an exception, but that's it. These ideas are complex. I can't break them down in only a single video, so please go read the text, go read my blog, go think about philosophy, go think about life, and go create something new. Go around being cannibal, okay? Become cannibal, just as me. That's it, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I see you all, guys, tomorrow. I promise you, tomorrow it will happen. Thank you for watching. Oh, and an addendum. If you like this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and please share it with your friends who also like philosophy and these crazy ideas, okay? Share it with them. I'm trying to build an audience here and in my blog, especially in my blog. As I always say, I'm a writer. So please, if you can share my content with people you think will like it, I would appreciate that a lot. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's for real now. Bye.